Mediators are calling for Sudan's warring sides to extend their week-long humanitarian ceasefire. The truce between the army and the rapid support forces is due to expire on Monday evening. Its brokers, Saudi Arabia and the US, say an extension will allow the delivery of urgent aid. The UN says more than half of Sudan's population is in need of humanitarian assistance. Well, Hiba Morgan's joining us now from Omdurman. So the US and the Saudi Arabia calling for an extension. They're still describing the current ceasefire as imperfect. Do we have any indication what might have been achieved by the ceasefire so far?
Well, the whole purpose of this humanitarian ceasefire that was signed between the army and the rapid support forces was to open humanitarian corridors for aid to be able to reach the millions who are still trapped here in the capital, Khartoum, and other parts of the country. Now, we know that there are many people in many parts of the capital, especially the northern part, who've not been able to get or receive aid from aid organizations. And we also know that many aid organizations were unable to deliver aid to those in need, and that's only here in the capital. So one of the main purposes of the ceasefire was not achieved, which is to try to reach as many people as possible, including in the region of Darfur. Now, the other purpose of the ceasefire was, in the word itself, ceasefire. There should be no fighting between the RSF and the Sudanese army for a possible longer term and more permanent ceasefire to be negotiated between the two sides. But from the very first minutes of the ceasefire coming into effect, we were able to hear explosions, we were able to hear gunfire, and that was the case on Sunday morning as well. There's been intense fighting between the rapid support forces and the Sudanese army in Halfaya Bridge, which is a bridge that connects the city of Omdurman to the northern part of the capital. So while there was so much hope pinned on the ceasefire by the mediators specifically, on the ground, many people say that they did not see the ceasefire manifest. And for the past 6 days, in many parts of the capital, so the sound of heavy artillery, gunfire, and airstrikes were heard.
Yeah, Hiba, you mentioned the region, the area of Darfur there, and as I understand it, in terms of things intensifying, I believe the governor of Darfur is calling for citizens to arm themselves. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, it comes as a result of the increase in attacks by Arab-allied or RSF-allied Arab militias in the western region of Darfur. Now, for more than a week, that region, which is already coming out of 20 years of civil war, and where many people have been displaced and service delivery has been poor because of conflict, additional fighting between the rapid support forces, their Arab-allied militias, and ethnic Darfuris has led to thousands of people being displaced to neighboring Chad, others unable to access basic facilities like health services. So the governor of Darfur has called on civilians to try to protect themselves. He said that both men and women should arm themselves against those attacks which witnessed markets being razed, properties being looted, government institutions being destroyed. But many people are criticizing him. Now, he has an army. He's a former rebel group that signed a peace deal with the government in 2020 and has a large force. So many people are saying that he should also play a bigger role instead of calling on people to arm themselves, and that as the governor of Darfur and as a person with armed fighters, he should protect the people in Darfur.
Hiba, thank you very much indeed. That's Hiba Morgan bringing us up to date from Omdurman.